Hi, greetings to you all in the name of Jesus. Uh, this is probably the second live session I ever done in my life. Today I wanted to share with you all what I have been learning and what God is teaching me in life. Through the past years, I have been through so many emotions in life. Uh, there are ups and downs, emotionally, physically. Uh, just so much going on in life, and I guess whatever I am learning in life, whatever God is teaching me, I want to share it with you, so that you, if in case if these also teach you something, you will also be blessed in the presence of God. So that's why I put a topic, or I took a topic called when emotions rise. We all have these emotions in our lives every day. It might be a physical emotion, or a mental emotion, with our family, with our friends, or whoever it might be. There's We go through so many emotions in life. So I want to share my personal experience. When emotions rise, God is our defender. God will be our defender no matter what circumstances is, and no matter what we face. So I have been experiencing Jesus in my life, because when my emotions rose over the past years, over the past days, God was my defender. He made sure he was my defender. And you know whatever situation it might be, some I couldn't even express, but I can undoubtedly say that God was my defender. So I was just reading about Job's life. Probably it might be the only book in the Bible where all the grief is there, or he might be the only person who can actually talk about emotions from the Bible. You know, he went through so much pain, so much agony. These days, we all have this question in life, and everybody have asked about this question: why do bad things happen for good people? Why does that happen? So probably Job is the only person that can actually fit into this question about why good things never happen to good people. He was so good. When you go through the book of Job, you only see a good about him. But when you see the circumstances and whatever happened to him, you only see there was bad. And why did God allow it? Why did God allow bad to happen to such a good man? This question happens to rise in our lives, in our daily lives as well, because we think we might be so good in life, but still there are things happening that we don't expect that God to actually run it with us. But still, and I wanted to bring this Job's life, because he might be the only man in history whose life was not fair. It was never fair enough, because the book of Job, the name itself deals with the age old depression, you know. But there are three things which Job found out, and three qualities, or three words that I found out what Job did in spite of having so many troubles. The first one is appreciation. You know, in spite of having so many troubles in life, Job appreciated God's power in his life. A new appreciation. Write this word, appreciation. Are we appreciating what God is doing in our life, or are we just grumbling around what God is doing in our lives? We might actually tell people that I trust God so much. I believe in God so much. I know He is my provider. I know He takes care of me. But at the end of the day, you go back, sit in your room, and grumble, "Why, God? Why did you do this only to me? Everybody around me are good. Why you disowned me? You rejected me. You did all sort of bad things happen to me. Why did you let it happen?" We might be two-faced people. We might not appreciate how Job appreciated God. Uh, most of the book of Job, it was only the conversation between Job and his friends. You know, his friends came to confront him, but they were not much help. Uh, his friends came and advised him to do so many things, but they were not help. This generation, we have so many friends who advise us to do so many things in life, but are they of help in our lives? That's what we have to do it. And what did God say to Job? You know, and in this particular situation, whatever is happening to Job, God never expressed or explained why he was doing or why he is allowing things to happen in Job. And this is the most difficult situation to be in when you don't know why it is happening. We think so many things are happening in our lives, and we sit and think for hours and hours and hours, trying to figure it out on our end, on from our own inner strength. We try to overtake from God's perspective. We forget God's perspective. In fact, we forget the existence of God. We put a chart. We become detectives in our lives, trying to analyze, trying to picturize, trying to put all the points together where it all started. But whatever you do in life, some questions in life, you will never understand why God is doing, and God will never explain it to you. So stop looking for answers why God is doing this or doing some things in your life. You just have to blindly trust Him, like Job. Are we having this blind trust in God? We trust our drivers. When we travel, we trust our drivers. Whoever is taking us on a ride, a pilot, a driver, we might be traveling in trains, in cars, you know, on a motor or a flight, whatever it is, we still trust that they're going to land us safely. But our God is a God of universe. He is the one who made you and me. He knows you in and out. He knows what is going to happen next. So, do you trust Him? Do you appreciate God, what God is doing in our lives? You know, and when we realize why God did all these things in Job's life, we realize that God wanted to let him know that how big he is. Sometimes God let things happen in our lives to make us realize how big our God is. So some situations make us realize how big our God is. So look in a particular way, and always look for a lesson in whatever's happening in our lives. Is God teaching us something in this situation in my life? So sometimes God purposefully lets this happen so that we think, oh, how marvelous you are, God, how big you are. We can't even measure God. So that's the surprise element that God's put in our lives, because He wants us to think and believe how big it is, and how He can actually take care of things. So the first point is appreciate. So are we appreciating what God is doing in our lives? The second thing I wanted to tell is what I learned is Job accepted whatever the God's purpose was for his life. Whatever God was doing in Job's life, he accepted it. Be it for destruction, be it for blessing. You know, if we lose $1,000 or 1,000 rupees, how would we feel? We feel our world is upside down, especially in this recession and lacking of job, lacking of health. We go haywire. We make the world upside down. But look into the book of Job. When you are down, when your emotions are taking control of you, look at the book of Job and analyze his life. His family was taken away from him, his children was taken away from him, his cattle, his earnings, his blessings, everything was taken away from him, but still he accepted that it was God's purpose what happened to him. It was God's doing. It was God purposefully doing these things. He might not have known why God has done. He did not know what happened between God and Satan, what conversation happened between God and Satan. But we are sitting here and we are reading that God allowed Satan. Do you accept if God allows Satan to do something in your life, to take something so dear to your heart? Do you still accept God's purpose for your life like Job did? You give, you take away. Are our hearts like that? Are we willing to accept what God has done in our lives? You know, first we have to appreciate. Then when we appreciate what God is doing in our lives, then we can actually accept it, what God is doing in our lives. So the third point I wanted to bring to you is, the awareness. Are we even aware of what God's purpose is? So if we are not aware of what God's purpose is in our lives, how can we accept it? How can we even appreciate it if we are not aware of what's purpose God is? In the midst of his suffering, God gave Job a fresh glimpse of his glory. That's what the Bible says. He did not explain why he allowed bad things to happen to Job. God is too big for all of us to understand. And sometimes his plans are so unique, so special that we cannot decode it. We think we decode the plans, we think we understand what God is doing in our lives, but at the end of the day, we do not understand. Such big is our God. We can't analyze, we can't sit we can't sit in our rooms and we can't tell that I know God, because whatever you think is nothing in front of God, is not even 1% what we know about God. Such a big God we serve. All I wanted to bring to you this day, what I'm learning, I've started trying to appreciate what God is doing in my life. I've started accepting what God is trying to do in my life. I am making sure I have the awareness of what God's purpose is in my life. When I have the awareness of what God is doing in my life, when I have the acceptance of what God is doing in my life, when I appreciate what God is doing in my life, then I can proudly say, you give and you take away. And all I can say, bless the Lord. So are we taking these 3 points? Are we appreciating? Are we accepting? And are we having the awareness of God's purpose in our lives? Please look into your lives. And I encourage all of you to practice this and see the blessings of God. And I just wanted to close with this because, you know, one of my favorite gospel songs, I've written it down and I wanted to read it out what it says. And I've sing it over and over and over times because it brings me so much of immense joy in my heart. You know, it's a song called God is Still Good. No matter what happens, God is still. The name of the song is God is Still Good. It goes like this. As long as I look back on all of my days, so many times and so many ways, I have been blessed, and all I can say is God is still good. Sometimes the night brings sorrow and pain, sometimes the tears fall like the rain. But through it all, He never changed. God is still good. There have been times I have let Him down, made my mistakes, but still I have found. I may stumble and fall, but through it all, God is still good. Mercy still flows from the palm of His hand. He will give grace and help me to stand. And although He knows how unworthy I am, God is still good. God is still good when the waves roll high. God is still good all through the night. When I have done all I can and I don't understand, God is still good. Clouds of doubt may darken the way, but showers of blessing will come any day. He'll bring me through, and I'll stand and say, God is still good. All of you, you can go and listen to this song named God is Still Good. And I hope the small session brings you more closer to God. And I will keep praying for all of you. Remember me as well in your prayers. May God bless you all. Thank you.